Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a great college football Saturday. Every college football Saturday is great. This is our pregame. I'm trying to make this a thing. I've given myself about, what are we at now? We're at 10 o'clock. So I got about 14 hours before I can get excited for game week for the first time all year. So I'm a little eager, but hey, it's great to have you guys on. Once again, it's college football pregame. I got Couch Coach Live from Couch Coach Live. What's up? I got Stephen Gillespie from Gillespie. I can't even talk this morning. I swear, no kegs today. Stephen Gillespie from Breaking the Game podcast and the Off the Ball Network. Good morning, Stephen.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. How you doing, brother?
Great. And Jelani Brown for What the Game Means to Me podcast. It's been a while since we've got together, so we're lucky to have him on today. How's it going, Jelani?
Of course, pretty good. Thank you again for having me on this morning, gentlemen. Looking forward to a great show.
Oh yeah. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Man, it's this one is fun. It's not quite as fun as coach's shows that he does. Like I don't get that kind of energy. But the best thing about college football pregame, we all love college football in some sort of way. And it's fun. You get to make predictions. You get to be wrong. It doesn't matter. But I tell you what, we're not going to do. We're not going to sit here and talk for half an hour about Nick Saban's positive and negative COVID test. This is getting ridiculous.
It's getting on my nerves.
It's like, okay, he had a false positive, took a couple negatives, put him on the sideline. I'm glad he's healthy. Let's roll. Literally, you know what I mean? So, I'm kind of done with that. I watched ESPN today. It was 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, this is getting ridiculous, guys. You could be breaking down, Mac Jones. You could be breaking down, Najee. You could just show highlights or something, anything. But I get it. They got a job to do, just like we do. We just happen to be better at it.
Thanks.
So anyway, we'll get into this. Let's go. The first game we got to talk because we got a special segment today. So we'll get. What's this? Why you gotta bring up that name? My own cousin would do that to me. Anyway, she's a Buckeye. So
right off the cuff, dude.
Yeah, we're gonna talk.
You were having a nice intro and everything.
Right.
Here we go. So now I got sidetracked by that awful word. The first game. Now I put this game on here because it's one of those who's real game. Kentucky's playing scrappy. They held the vaunted Mississippi State offense to nothing. Last week. Tennessee, are they their back team or are they a false their back? More like the Texas form. So I thought this was an interesting game. It is an SEC game, and so we'll see. So Jelani, what do you think about this game?
Pretty much like you said, it's like a prove game for honestly both squads. I know last week I watched early game with Tennessee and Georgia, and Tennessee I think had the lead early, but it fizzled out pretty quick for them. So like I said, it's kind of like a prove it type of game. I know Kentucky has a pretty strong defense. Like you said, it's like kind of like to see if Tennessee's back or not. They're back in the top 25. The last few years have been terrible for them. Even though they've had high hopes and everything. So I personally think I'm gonna go with Tennessee on this one. Because I think that offense probably will outweigh that Kentucky defense. But like I said, it's kind of like a prove it game, but it really could be a toss up. I really could see Kentucky taking it as well, but that's just kind of my thoughts on it. I personally think Tennessee's the pretend team though, because I'm a Gators fan.
I kind of lean that way. But no, to be fair, your Gators are a pretend team today because they decided not to play. I had that. I was waiting. No, I was waiting for that game all week.
I was too.
Man. You see my preseason rankings? I had them undefeated.
I know. I was like, I've been waiting for it all week as well, but I guess God kind of showed his, just showed what he's really about. Dan Mullen was talking a little bit too much after the loss after Mississippi State. So, it's just funny how it happens. Like literally 2-3 days later, like bam, everybody's.
But it's all good. It's going to give us a good game in December. So I'll forget.
Exactly.
I mean, take it from me. My team hasn't even played yet, so at least your team's out there playing. But So what about you, Steven? What do you think about this game?
Well, I'm sorry if you see me looking away. I have two monitors now.
Oh, okay. Now
Jeff, so I'm fancy now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I'm not ignoring you. I'm looking over.
Is your producer distracting you?
Yeah. Well, my producer's in the living room with all of her little cronies right now. But I like this game for Kentucky. I think with Pascal coming back, that's a big return to defensive end. Kentucky has a really good offensive line. Their quarterback is going to be so hard for Tennessee to stop. They haven't faced a quarterback like this yet. Dual threat. It's going to be, I think this is going to be my upset pick for the week. I like Kentucky over Tennessee. I call it an upset specifically for the fact that Tennessee is ranked 18th. But like Jelani said, I think a lot of logical, football fans would look at this and say this is an easy game for Tennessee to lose this week.
Yeah, me too. I kind of feel the same way. What do you think, Coach?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you guys as well. And it's funny if we're looking at it as somewhat of an upset alert in a sense, which is weird.
Mm-hmm.
This is the classic case of an upset alert when you have an 18th ranked team in Tennessee. And it's funny, we talked about Tennessee. Tennessee's almost has a kind of like that Notre Dame-ish type of feel to me, where it's almost in previous years, not year with Notre Dame, but in previous years of how Tennessee, for some bizarre reason, always ranks high right around this time of year. It was always at September, October. We always had them at least in the top 25 for some bizarre reason every year. And they're like, as far as when you look at it from the stats perspective, they're like evenly matched. I mean, they're going against a team, especially like Kentucky, who's averaging 26 a game, 26 points a game, and then also yardage wise, and you look at discrepancy, you're like, they're kind of Kentucky, even though at 1 and 2, this ain't just a classic 1 and 2 team, and this would be a great win for them if they get it. And I got Kentucky in this matchup. I definitely think it's going to take care of business. Yeah, this is when you look at it from that. Yeah, when you look at it from that standpoint, it's just, and Tennessee it's not what you're saying. The rankings at this point, 18 for them. You might as well put them outside top 25 because everybody is.
You have to if you just go 1 and 2. Especially with more conferences coming back to play.
Right.
Yeah, they need to take it. So, but I think if Tennessee wants to be quote unquote back, I mean that this is a game you have to win. Like when Alabama was coming back in the mid 2000s or whatever, they had a few down after the Shula years and all that. They beat teams like this like a drum. No offense to Kentucky. I like what they're doing down there. That team gets a little better every year. I think that's a team that if they were in the ACC could really flourish. I think they're just a little.
For sure.
I like the SEC. I'm glad they're in it, but they're just always going to be on the they're always going to be on the other side of it looking at it. But this could be one they take. This is huge. If they win this, it's huge. So
who do you got, Jeff?
I think Tennessee is going to win. I'm with Jelani. I think they're a bit of a pretender, but I just don't think Kentucky's offense will score enough or they'll make enough mistakes. I just don't think they can score enough to win. I think their defense will play good enough to win, but their offense won't. Does that make any sense? So I got Tennessee, but I don't think we're going to come away with it saying that Tennessee is needs to jump well. You know what I mean? I still think Florida, Alabama, apparently not LSU, at least Florida and Alabama and Georgia all head and shoulders above Tennessee team right now. But I want Tennessee to be good just because I think college football is better when brands like that are good, whether you like them, whether you love them or hate them. So, I'll still stick with Tennessee. So next, there's another SEC matchup. Now, I put this on here. I know it's weird, but so we had Texas A&M that, a week ago, everybody was like, oh, they're going to surprise Bama, all that. And not Bama, but Florida.
Yep.
Yeah. Nothing personal, Jelani. We don't have a lot of SEC guys on here, so I'm glad you guys are both on today. So, but then you got Mississippi State. I just need to know right now, was that a fluke game 1? And are we done? And Mike Leach is a fraud, or Or can they beat Texas A&M? You know, because it's just those air raid offenses of his. Like once they get rolling, they do this sometimes. So I don't know. Is this Mike Leach's Texas Tech teams from the past, or is this what we saw the last couple of weeks and they're just a complete fraud? So this time, Coach, what do you think about this game, real quick?
This is another one where and it's so funny, and I don't want to be like,
you want to say it.
And I'm telling you, yes, upset alert. Once again,
leaning
because Texas A&M and what we did last week against Florida is something that even we didn't think was going to happen. We were poo-pooing Florida, we were poo-pooing Texas A&M. But for them to come now, you got to think about it now. This is somewhat of a trap game. Now you're going to Stark Vegas, so this is going to be it's going to be a very, very interesting game.
I think so too.
The momentum, the momentum from last week's win over Florida, which notched them. I mean, in some polls, they're in some polls in the top 10, just off of that strength of that win. So now, can this team bounce back off that momentum? Could the momentum swing once again?
I don't know, man.
You know what? I'm gonna roll with Texas A&M just for the hell of it because we went against them last week.
That didn't work.
That didn't work. That didn't age well. That take was frozen at 3:30.
Who you got, Steven?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a game of momentum. I'm looking over here and I see that Kentucky, the team that Coach and I just picked to come in and win against Tennessee, they stomped Mississippi State 24-2 last week. Stomped Mississippi State. So they're coming in devastated while A&M's coming off of a hot win. In college sports, probably more so than professional sports, momentum is the name of the game. And I think, A&M's probably feeling themselves a little bit now, and Mississippi State is thinking, I just lost by 22 points. I only scored 2 points in a game last week. Probably a lot of doubt circulating that team right now. So I'm feeling A&M probably a little bit more than Coach. But again, this is the SEC. Teams get up for each other all the time, Jelani. You know this.
Exactly.
Every week anybody could come in and win an SEC game, it seems like.
Yep. Just like Steven pretty much just said, like any given week is, every given week and every given game in the SEC could be an upset game. Year. Yeah, that's what I say. Especially this year, just nothing's normal. But kind of like, to the points that Steven and Coach just said, it's honestly, I don't know, it's going to be a really good game, I think, in my opinion. Mississippi State, like you just said, coming off of a crushing defeat to Kentucky, and then Texas A&M coming off of a high of a victory against Florida, and then the way they won as well, because most of the game, Florida was pretty much in control and they were winning, but then third quarter started going back and forth, and they eventually took the lead. I will say Isaiah Spiller, the running back for Texas A&M, is the real deal. We could not stop him. And that's one of the things I think to look forward to this week. I was reading up a little bit on it. Mississippi State is supposed to, be known for kind of like their stout run defense, and Texas A&M got to the ground and was running the ball really, really well on us, and then they got to the air. So that's, I guess, to be the matchup. If Texas A&M is able to, run the ball early and kind of control the game, I think they'll pretty much handle their business. But just like both of them said, it could easily be a Mississippi State win. And I think they play at home as well. So it'll be definitely interesting to see. I think Texas A&M momentum coming off that Florida win at home should carry them into this game to help them take care of their business. But you never know. I'm not going to say upset alert. I'm going to go with Texas A&M as well.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, this is one of the ones I think it's Texas A&M. I think they squash them. Spiller looked good. I didn't watch him enough to have that take on him, but I'm glad you said that, because to me, like, just popping in and out of the game, I was like, man, that looks like a real. Now, is he related to CJ by any chance? Or
I wanted to look that up, and I do not remember. I don't think I looked it up last week, but
it
just feels
especially
like it could possibly be,
it
just could be some type of relative, cousin or something like that.
Yeah. So, I got Texas A&M. I think that they're going to put these two games together. I hope they're the team that I don't hope they are. I don't have any stake in it, but early, I had them as the highest ranked 2-loss team. But I had Florida as one of their losses. So, but I also didn't have I forget who did they lose to 2 weeks ago. What was their upset? Shoot.
No,
Anyway,
which team?
I can't remember. Texas, it wasn't Texas Tech, but I'll look into that.
Yeah.
So I got Texas A&M. I think they're going to roll through them. I'm not a believer in Mike Leach. I like the air raid, but I don't believe it's a Mike Leach thing.
Yeah, it's hard to support a program that he's
it really is. Well, look, once again, I mean, when you look at this, right here, look, I got touchscreen too, Steven. So
don't Steve, just when I was feeling myself,
don't sweat. I mean, they're Mississippi State 2.1 yards of rush. That's not, and if you take out that 600-yard game against LSU, their stats are zero for the next 3 games. So yeah, total fraud. I don't buy into Mike Leach. It's just not my thing. So, I'll actually root for TAMU in this one. So okay, it's about to get fun.
Oh boy,
we're gonna turn him loose, gentlemen.
Oh
yeah!
Look, you want to make Coach wait for the last take?
I sure
and we'll all talk about how Florida State's going to win.
All right.
I mean,
you know what, Steven? Let's let you go first.
Yeah.
These other 2 gentlemen got to go first. I'll put them on the spot. So you go first and tell me what's going to happen here, and why. And you know what? Tell me. I understand everybody knows that. You look at your eyeballs. Florida State stinks.
Yes.
So tell us why this game, though, still you should watch it.
You should watch it because although I think that Florida State is going to get spanked, just coming off the top right now. Coach, I'm so glad that I met you because you've turned me on to a team that otherwise I probably would never care to watch. So, you look at North Carolina, they're such a fun team to watch. I mean, they're not like – blowing you away with how they play. They're just a super complete team. And if you like just, overall well-coached team football, North Carolina is your team to watch. They don't have they don't have bad players, you know what I mean? But they don't have like these breakaway guys, but it's like the San Antonio Spurs, basically, of the NCAA football right now. And I rooted against San Antonio, but I respected what they did. And North Carolina's kind of like that now, except I can root for North Carolina because they're not in the SEC, and I get to support a team that that my boy roots for. So I like North Carolina a lot in this game. I know every year Florida State's looking to be back, because of their brand and things like that, but they don't have an ACC victory this year so far. And, that may lead people to believe or fall into a trap of upset alert. And it feels like every weekend has been upset weekend so far this year in college football. I have the utmost faith in North Carolina and their quarterback, and Florida State really doesn't stand a chance, but you should watch it just because North Carolina is a fun team to watch and, learn about some other players otherwise you may not already know about.
Absolutely. Definitely watch this game. What do you think, Jelani?
Yeah. I don't know if you guys know this about me. I know Coach might know, but was born. My family's from North Carolina, so when I'm not rooting for the Gators.
I thought you
when I'm not rooting for the Gators, I'm actually because I'm a big North Carolina basketball fan. So obviously, I'll watch football. I'll watch North Carolina football as well. And since the last few years, we've been pretty good.
And there's uniforms. There's uniforms.
Yeah, that was also the uniform. Bringing Mac Brown back, bringing that swag back. It's been great to watch overall. So I'm definitely on Coach's side. Like I said, I'm a North Carolina fan as well. Like you said, to our eyeballs, Florida State stinks, and they've been stinking for a really, really long time. But they're finding, I guess, a little bit of success on the offensive side, like kind of with their quarterback. What's his name? With Jordan Travis.
Yeah, Travis.
It would be interesting to see because last week North Carolina, we got off to a hot start. Was destroying Virginia Tech. Then obviously we let the door back open, let them back in the game, and made the game towards the end. So just kind of like a testament. Like we have a pretty good offense, pretty explosive offense in a sense, and we have a quarterback you can trust. But that defense is just like we can't allow that to happen. Especially in a game like this, with the ACC, it's kind of a little similar to the SEC. Obviously Clemson's at the top of everybody's chasing Clemson, but any given week it possibly be an upset, just for that ACC, in division battle. So
at some point Florida State's going to beat somebody.
Yeah, that's what I'm
today.
saying.
I don't think it's today, but everybody's like, that's just how things go. You know? So,
but we don't want to be the trap game, of course. So I think North Carolina definitely takes care of their business, though.
Yeah. And we said this last week too. I forget who the team was, but man, if Florida State's win this game, they're going to be in the top 25 next year, just based off of a win alone right now.
Big time.
Good point. But just to piggyback on what both you guys said, the one thing I do see, and we all touched on, like they're a team. All credit to Mac Brown.
Yeah.
These are the teams that he built at Texas. I mean, his teams at Texas were well rounded, on all sides of the ball. They had
except for Vince Young. Yeah, I mean,
he
was pretty explosive.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. When you give him that guy, look at the difference.
Oh yeah,
and it was, and then maybe So I total respect for what he's done down there. I thought he was just going take the money and ride out, but no, not at all.
I thought he was done too.
I've been really impressed by I actually read his coaching book, and he's a coaching genius, because two things: he's actually a really good X's and O's football coach, and he was smart enough when he got Vince Young to go, "Hey Vince, go win us a national championship." And I know it seems easy, but let him go, and it works.
Line him up.
Yeah, so I'm totally on the side. So all right, coach. Let's go, man. Tell us tell us how this
man. It was so crazy about it. To me, it just feels so surreal. And I've been following Carolina since 1998. And to sit here and think in 2020, we're the number 5th ranked team in the country, and we're going to Doak Campbell, and it's like a role reversal. And it's so bizarre to me.
Correct.
And it's just like it almost like feels like Groundhog Day. But this team is still, we talked about it a couple of days ago. Florida State still is a team that is they held their own at South Bend last week against Notre Dame. Like you said, Jelani, your point about Jordan Travis in his first start, he did a pretty good job in his first start. You also had guys on their side on defense. We talked about Marvin Wilson, and then we also talked about Asante Samuel Jr. Who they're gonna be playing on Sundays this time next year. So they're not devoid of talent. Carolina just gotta stay focused, and like what Jelani was saying, and even to go back to his point where they were doing their thing against Virginia Tech and they let them in. I mean, they were almost to a point where they had the lead was trimmed down to 8, and then of course Carolina came back, and then even going back 2 weeks ago against Boston College where they damn near lost that game, but I can attribute that to maybe just having 3 weeks off. But like these type of stretches where that's going to be the biggest problem going forward, because the schedule is very favorable up until Black Friday when we play Notre Dame. So now it's a week by week approach. It's hashtag get to Charlotte, so we'll play Clemson. So every week is a hey,
right?
Let's just get there. Let's be focused. Let's be within the game. Don't jump ahead. We know we're gonna have it. Let's take care of business in November. November's gonna be an interesting stretch. That's gonna prove our mental and physically. So just take care of business. Get to Charlotte, December 19th. Charlotte.
I think they look good. I think they're a fundamental team, and that carries over. That travel. Yes. You know what I mean? Yes. It's not based on one dynamic player. It's not based on a freshman who hasn't been in this. It's a complete team that was built for this. I got North Carolina all the way. Florida State's the opposite. I don't doubt that if you switch coaches, that Florida State would probably be the favored team, especially quarterback. You know what I mean? We all know Florida State's got the athletes down there. By no means do I think that their cupboard's bare, but I think this is North Carolina's year. I want that matchup with Notre Dame just because I want to have it. I want to enjoy it. I want to watch it. I got North Carolina, and for nothing else, I'm not going to root against UNC. Now I got 2 off the ball network brothers that root for, so I got all the more reason. So, so our friend, let's see, we got real quick. Our friend asked us. I apologize, but Baylor is not playing today. Oklahoma State Baylor game.
Yeah, that's right.
I would love to talk about it, Dustin. The Big 12. There's really nobody playing today. This game is postponed. I think this is Baylor's. They came off.
Well, then they also Vanderbilt and Missouri too were another game.
I heard that. So as much as I would love to talk about it, I wish they did have a game today. So all right, here we go. This is the big one. Outside of UNC, let's dig into this a little bit,
course,
and then
got
we'll
to,
get
got
on to our.
We're
special-
not talking about Nick Saban though right now, right? Like
no. We're not talking about. We're talking about the game. This is
there's a game. No.
This is yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a game. It's a game within the game.
Yeah,
That's
so
the headline.
This is by far the biggest game of the year so far. Georgia has looked better than anybody thought. When they lost Jamie Newman, I counted them out. I apologize, Georgia. That was my bad. I'm on record for saying that they would be my backup team if Ohio State went to Mars or something. I really like Georgia, probably because the colors matchups is similar. But I like Georgia, I like the state, everything about it. So, but I gave him up. And when Newman left, no, I was wrong. They look great. Defense travels. Their defense has been better than I thought. This is what happens when you recruit these. If you pay attention to high school recruiting, then you're like, oh well, yeah, of course Georgia's good because they reload every year, and it showed. That's bailed them out. So, let's start with you know what? We'll go back to you, Coach. What do you think about this game?
Man, this is gonna be a game, and what's funny, and even though we know we not as far as the Saban aspect, but prior to when he was first diagnosed, the biggest question mark was he's going to be able to be on the sidelines.
Right.
More than likely, I think he will be on the sidelines. More than likely because it's a game time decision. Essentially, he's waiting for that third test. But I digress.
You're right. We shouldn't skip over that. Having your head coach there and not there is a big difference. So I don't think you're wrong to bring that up. Having the greatest coach in college football on the sideline or not on the sideline probably does factor into the game.
Especially considering how involved he is with everything.
Yeah. So we could probably dabble into that.
Yeah, because at first I thought he could just be a situation where he can, like you said, I think we suggested, well, maybe he'd be like in a booth, like kind of quarantine for people. But the way they're saying he just can't even, he couldn't even be.
It's one or the other.
At one or the other. So
can't even be on the phone.
Right. So so I definitely think that's going to be a huge factor. Like you said, bringing in Mac Jones. I think he's doing his thing this year. And then also their running back is just, Alabama just running back you. And I look at that, and it's going to be a very very, very offensive game where I think you look at even on the side. I think even on Georgia's side, you look at Stetson Bennett, where I think he's did a tremendous job, like you said, talking about we thought about Newman leaving, and we like, oh, what's Georgia in this situation? How they gonna handle that situation? And once again, they're churning out another quarterback as well. And this is going to be an offensive shootout. And now with Saban more than likely being on the sidelines, I got Bama.
Go ahead, Steven. What do you think, man?
Man, my gut tells me to go with Alabama, right? Because right now they're averaging
or the fact that they've been the best team in college football for 10 years.
Well, and I think my gut is saying it because of that. They're scoring 51 points a game, which is probably more than what their basketball team did last year, right? So,
so I mean, look at the difference. Look at the Georgia. Since you're talking about look at the defense. Look at what Georgia's allowing compared to something.
That's the thing. Like if you look at
allowing per rush, gentlemen,
right? Georgia is allowing 38 rushing yards per game. Granted, they played against Arkansas, right? They played against Auburn and Tennessee, whereas Alabama has played against Missouri, A&M, and Ole Miss. So
Missouri and A&M,
yeah, they're
and look at Alabama's defense.
Yeah, right.
That's a real thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Look at that right there.
It's insane, right? And look, right, and Alabama is allowing 150 rushing yards a game. When's the last time they averaged that in a game? And Georgia is a running team,
right?
So like, I might be the fool. I might play the fool. I'm gonna play the fool. I think Georgia's gonna. I think Georgia's going to win this game.
Okay.
I think Georgia's got it.
I like it.
I'm going to be the fool and go and bet against Nick Saban, which we said last week when he caught COVID-19. I said I hope COVID-19's okay, because that's just the type of dude that Nick Saban is. I'm so they'll probably play again later, and it'll probably be a different outcome. But right now, I got Georgia.
All right. What do you think, Giovanni?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought the comparison and stats up, because that's what I was gonna say. Pretty much, this Alabama defense isn't of norm. It's not what we are used to seeing at all.
I know.
Normally, they would have put a team like Missouri in the ground.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like that's the pretty much the key matchup to look forward to. Is like Steven just said, Georgia's a running team. That's pretty much what they've predicated themselves on the last how many years. I guess they're considered, running back year or whatever. So
172 yards a game.
Yeah, they always have a 1-2 punch.
Always
have a 1-2 punch. And with the Alabama team giving up 150 yards, obviously that's one of the things they're going to focus in on and key in on. Obviously for the game today, and also, but on the flip side of it, Alabama's offense has been a little bit. It's been more than what I thought it would be, given the quarterback that they have in.
Agreed.
And they
560 yards a game.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. So it's been a little surprising to me, like given that type of offensive talent. I know the offensive talent.
The Old Miss game throws a little off because they had almost 800 yards.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's like it was offensive juggernaut of a game. They always have receivers on the edge, or on the outside, and then Harris coming out of the backfield. That's a nightmare for any
unfair.
Defense. Yeah. So, but Georgia, again, on the flip side, Georgia's defense. You saw the numbers, the stats they're giving up.
Something's got to give here.
It's almost unreal. Like I said, something has to give. I personally, I hate having to say this. I want to go with Georgia just because I want some type of stir up at the end of the year when all the teams are playing. Just that storyline of, is Alabama going to get in with the one loss? Who knows? They might lose another game, to be honest. Since with the all SEC type schedule. I personally think, even though Georgia has looked great, I'm gonna look. Georgia possibly will lose a game when they have to play us later on in the year. Hoping so. That's what I'm hoping. I'm just
a little bit of an agenda in this prediction.
I just want a bit of a stir up. I think I'm gonna go with Georgia on this one.
Well, if Florida's gonna beat Georgia, you want them to win this game.
You're right. You're right. But I've always hated both sides. But got to have an agenda at some point.
No, never fall for that. Never fall.
Hey, always you have to.
No, I like that. I'm taking Bama as much as I like Georgia, just because I think, you got a young starter versus that Alabama defense. That Alabama defense is loaded with NFL talent. There's actually some experts that think part of the Alabama's defensive trouble is that their players are out there and they're so good that they're just like, they're not playing within the defense. They're just going to make plays and they get out of position. Lou Holtz famously said, I'd rather have a player in position that was slow, because if you're fast and out of position, then you're just farther out of position than you would have been. And I think that I really do like watching some of the games and stuff. I think that's what it's going to come down to. But it's one of those things, Mac Jones, just like Tua last year, sprains an ankle, in the first quarter. It's a different game. I don't think it's a blowout by any means, but I'm leaning Bama. Just that's how I feel. But that's not what I want. That's not how I'm rooting. So we'll talk a little bit about the Gators in a minute. I want to get to the next subject while we still got Coach here. I got about 10 minutes maybe with him. So speaking of Najee Harris, Etienne looks like a stud this year. Promise that we're going to do a little bonus segment here since it's kind of a light week in college football before, the real team starts next week. We're talking about our personal favorite running backs of all time that you watched in college football. It's not the best all-time list. It's not stats. It's just your favorite running backs that you ever watched or grew up watching, or however you want to say it. So, Coach, I want to go to you first because I don't want to lose before the show's over, brother.
Man, this one is tough and it's low-key emotional. One of my favorite running backs I've ever watched in my life was the late Cedric Benson from the University of Texas.
Man.
And man, it was crushing it when he passed away. And I was like, it's another guy. I liked him. Obviously, his playing style, but I liked his personality. It was weird. He was kind of like a more of a extroverted version of Ricky Williams. if that sounds kind of crazy.
I totally agree. I was going to bring that up when you said his name. That was my first thought.
So he's eccentric, just like Ricky, but Ricky was more of an introvert. Cedric was an extrovert, and he kind of brought people in his world. So, as far as like what he did and stuff. So it was kind of cool, like to see him and that. And it was funny because he had dreads, and that's when I was growing my dreads at that particular time back in 2000. And I grew my dreads.
You look great.
Yeah. So, and that was one thing where I was like, I always thought like Cedric
I had him
cool. Too. And I remember
more
how
of a pro guy.
And like his style was kind of how I used to like dress up. So, and I think he's only like a year and a half because he's born in 82, so he's like a 2-year difference from me. So he's 2 years older than me. So I looked at him as like a guy that I really, really enjoyed, and as far as following him in the pros and stuff, I thought he was gonna be the next Gale Sayers, of course, going to Chicago. So I figured that, but yeah, man, he was one of my favorite players, and I remember we did a segment one time about who we invite for Thanksgiving dinner. And I was like, he would be one of the top ones.
Really?
Like
That's
I would
awesome,
have at my table. So, and it was, and then obviously with the, situation, the tragic death of, and hearing the details, it was just like soul crushing. But yeah, man, the late Cedric Benson, man, rest in peace.
Shout out to Cedric, man. Yeah. I remember watching him in college, coming after Ricky and being like, wow, I think I mean, that's a good one, man. That was the Texas comeback. That's when they were on the rise. That was part of the rise.
Yeah.
All right, Steven, who you got? You can name anybody you want. You can name as many as you want. We can come back around till we.
Yeah. So mine. I was telling you offline earlier, Jeff. It rhymes with Karen McGladden, and that was Darren McFadden.
It had to be Run DMC.
It had to be. Well, and it's not like I just picked a dude that was just kind of a college legend, where I root for. Like in his time, man, Darren McFadden was such the
wild hog, brother.
The wild hog. Give it to him. Give him the Heisman.
And he's second the Heisman 2 years in a row.
Yep, second the Heisman 2 years in a row, and shared the back and shared the the running back position with two other great runners, with Felix Jones and Peyton Hillis. It was
Felix Jones. Go.
The cover boy of Madden 2012. Let's go.
Well, like everyone's got their little hometown stories of like how dude got to be where he was. Did you know dude like strapped in like no kidding, his dad would make him strap an F-150 or something, like basically a small truck to him, and he would have to pull that around town where he grew up.
He had so much power he was kind of that Eric Dickerson mold, kind of a taller, thinner running back. He was like 6'1", he was over 6 foot tall, like 6'2" maybe, and ran upright, but he was so slick through the hole. I mean, he took college football by storm those 2 years.
Yeah, McFadden was just phenomenal.
It was unbelievable. His stats, like,
was a 3-star recruit coming out of his school. Came in, he could run the ball phenomenally well. He could catch when he needed to. He could throw the football. It was the LaDainian Tomlinson of college football at that time, dude. Like he could throw. I
didn't even put LaDainian on my list.
I think that you got let me see here. I got it pulled up. He threw 7 touchdowns and 1 interception. His career quarterback efficiency rating is 237.
Yeah,
and he was
a highlight reel a month every week on college live or whatever, man.
It was just phenomenal. I mean, career averages of 5.8 yards per carry. He ran for 41 touchdowns, ran for 4,590 yards. Received all-purpose yards 4,955. So and 43 touchdowns. He's
insane.
It's crazy.
And that's another guy that he came along 8 to 10 years too early for the NFL. Because right now he'd step in and he was not a flop in the NFL by any means. He was just
he just wasn't like what he was supposed to be.
He was kind of out of position, out of body type. Maybe now he would go to slot, kind of that H back or something. I don't know. But man, his college
kind of a steady Eddie coming in.
Is 100% legit. Like that dude was excited every game. What about you, Jelani? I got a guess, but we'll see.
Yeah, you're probably right on my guess. Honestly, a lot of guys around my age looked at one guy and saw him as just the best running back of his time. Reggie Bush, of course, USC. Because I'm pretty sure
I thought you were gonna say Adrian Peterson. Maybe that's
Adrian
my guy.
Adrian Peterson
Yeah.
is also on my list.
He's on the deep list for sure.
Adrian Peterson is also on my list. But Reggie and Christian McCaffrey as well. But Reggie Bush definitely was a highlight reel. Everybody around my age, just loves him for everything that he
None
did.
of his stats ever happened though, because
I think didn't they just I thought
they let him back in this year.
Let him back in, yeah, but supposedly it never happened. But wow, it just popped back up, and it's back in the folds. Everything is back in the history books. But yeah, his Heisman season was wonderful. He, I loved him because what he did in not only opposite setting, but kick return, punt return, and all that. He just was
just give him the ball.
I was gonna say literally just give him the ball, and then he gave me fits so much every time. He went to New Orleans. I'm a Falcons fan, so he gave me fits in the division all the time as well. So it's like
he's a better NFL player than people gave him credit for.
He really was, yeah.
Injuries. Brian Urlacher. Ask Brian Urlacher.
He's not a high state. He's not a high state. Jeez, he's not a Hall of Fame player, but he had a good career in the NFL. He was not a flop either. Like
if he would have came out just like how you were saying earlier about Darren McFadden, if he would have came out later,
he's built. Like, he's Alvin Kamara.
Yeah,
same.
You're right.
Maybe a little more powerful. And by the way, let's go ahead and give it to Reggie Bush when it's 4th and 1, the national championship. Sorry, I'm just saying. Like, no offense.
You didn't trust Matt Leinart?
But you got Reggie. Like, you got to get him the ball that game.
And they had Lindell too. Lindell was a monster.
Lindell, yes, sir.
I don't know, man. Like, you got to get Reggie more involved in that game. I was rooting for Texas in that game, but you got to get Reggie more involved. Man, he had. I mean, some of his highlights. He's one of those guys. His highlights are just like legendary,
electric.
Yep. So I got a whole list here. But this is one of the fortunate things about being old. I can actually remember this was like it was weird because back in the day you had on TV you had a way more condensed lineup of college football. So like I got to watch High State and then maybe an SEC game later, and then that was when ESPN started showing college football. Well, back when you had like the WAC conferences and all those, there was always a college football game starting at like 10:30 at night. So you would come home and San Diego State would be on TV, and Marshall Faulk was on TV.
Oh,
and I am telling you, he is the only other
favorite Ram of all time.
Only other, he might be my favorite NFL player of all time. But you would come home and you would get to watch Marshall Faulk, and you're like, we don't know who San Diego State is. We don't know who this guy is. He just blew everybody off the field. It was like 2-3. He had like a 300-yard game one time, and it was just a freakish thing. But it was like a spotlight game. That was all it was on that night. And I can still remember being like we would go to school on Monday morning, and be like, did anybody else see this guy named Marshall Faulk like over the weekend? Like it was like he was a myth. It was that crazy because you didn't have all. And the next morning, like they weren't like talking about it all day. Like you either saw it and knew about it or you didn't. And then like it started to grow obviously, and he became a legend. But oh man, I can just say I'll catch up with him later. But thanks for Couch Coach Live for coming on. He had to go. He double booked today because he's that good. We appreciate him coming on. Yeah,
he graced us with his presence this morning.
He absolutely did. I truly appreciate him being on today. So yeah, so Marshall Faulk was like one of the greatest. But I've seen like through my years, I watched Barry Sanders run the ball in college.
Oh my goodness,
you know what I mean? Like I watched him win the Heisman, then I watched him go to Detroit. And I watched him every Thanksgiving. My favorite as far as pure running back and at the time in the joy was Eddie George. What he did at Ohio State for 2 years. That was a big 2 years for us. And that was back. Now he's the opposite. He is not a modern running back. That guy was old school, giving the ball off tackle every play, and he just chewed yards. We could count on him. Shoot, I left that up the whole time. You guys should have yelled at me.
I don't see anything.
I left the
the Georgia and Alabama.
We're supposed to be on this. So we got a private chat here. I was Coach standby. Okay, so anyway, man, just Eddie George, it was so satisfying. I watched Another guy, Jelani, you're younger than this guy's career, but down in Georgia, Garrison Hurst is one of the best college running backs I ever saw. I don't know if you know anything about him. I know you're not a Georgia guy, but I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I keep up with their running backs because, like I said, running back and they got coming out of there. So
Garrison Hurst was awesome. I wish he hadn't got hurt in the pros, but man, that was my guy. Georgia had a great season. He was up there for the Heisman and all that. Love that guy. I watched Adrian Peterson. That's been one of the funnest.
Yep.
That guy was so overmatched for college football. And I feel bad for him because they didn't win, anything in college. I shouldn't say anything, but they didn't win a championship in college football. He goes, he's still running pretty good in the NFL. Has maybe, I don't know if he's got a playoff win or not. He might have one up in there somewhere. He had that Minnesota team that got the kick and all that a couple years ago. But for a guy that
got hurt in college too, and then came back and was still that good.
Yeah. He's because he ran like a maniac. He ran like Hulk trying to take out a town. So much fun that year. He was a great pure college football player. He was fun to watch. He was right around the McFadden time, right? That feels like those two were
something like that.
Yeah.
Him
they were kind of butted up next to each other.
Yeah. Then at High State here we had Zeke Elliott. He had a really nice career. He had the best 3-game run we've ever seen when they won the national championship. I think he had 600 and some, almost 700 yards in 3 games and 9 touchdowns. He just was the greatest 3-game run I've ever seen. I don't love the way he plays the game now. He's not the guy that I knew, but I'm not taking away from what he did for us. We adored him, here in Ohio. And that's a guy who came out of I think he played in his school, such a small school, like a private school. So Urban, took a chance and it worked out for us. So, but
what about dang, I just lost his name. Plays in with Baltimore now. What's his name?
Mark Ingram.
Yes, Ingram. Yes, Ingram in Alabama was freaking scary. Ingram in Alabama was not fun to watch, and Derrick Henry, both of those dudes.
Derrick Henry for sure.
Yeah, Alabama for years, and it's still. I mean, well, so what was it? So who won? Who won the Heisman?
Ingram.
Yeah.
Ingram. Well, no, didn't they have another one after that?
Somebody else won.
So he won the Heisman, but then the guy that I think Derrick, we forget.
Was it Henry too?
The guy that got. I don't want to be rude, but the guy that kind of got big in the NFL and
Eddie Lacy,
Lacy.
Yeah, Lacy was great, and then Derrick Henry, I believe Derrick Henry was next, was his backup.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They're don't even worry about this guy, the guy behind him, because I can remember. I don't know the years now. Alabama's been there every year, but I can remember Derrick Henry was a freshman. They would bring him in in the backup role, and everybody's like, "Who is this? Why is Godzilla out here running a football?"
Right. Who's this defensive end running halfback?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, Mark Ingram really good. Man, they've had a
Leonard Fournette in the SEC whenever he was in.
Man,
yep,
what a
Leonard.
year!
Yep.
What a year! His stats from that year are insane. They showed him the other day that year at LSU. He was their whole offense.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy. What a
Cadillac Williams at Auburn was another one.
Yep. And Ronnie Brown, Cadillac
Brown. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. What a great dude. Oh my God. Yeah. Those guys were awesome. That was during the Reggie Bush years. I was surprised Jelani didn't bring up Emmitt Smith.
Emmitt Smith.
He didn't get to
before his time.
Emmitt definitely was a big, guy for us as well as for Dallas. I also wanted to. I already think I said his name, but Christian McCaffrey. He broke Barry Sanders all-time all-purpose yards. For
That's
college.
Insane.
Again, like I said, I just I guess the duos of someone that.
Toby Gerhardt at Stanford too was pretty good too.
Toby Gerhardt. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
That's a throwback.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, there's another throwback. The only reason I know though because he went to my high school. I went George Rogers. He was out of South Carolina. I remember one day I was watching. I don't know if it was the ESPN does those E60s or some type of. It was some SEC sports story or SEC story something. It was doing something, but I remember I watched that and I heard about him. coming up, obviously, because he just went to our high school. They got a little plaque and everything of him. In
Yeah,
the
that's
field.
huge, man.
So, George Rogers, I remember he was a really good running back.
Now, is that a big school you went to? Like, is that?
I mean, it's funny. Like I don't know back then who was in the specifically in the like the conferences or whatever, but like when I went to school, they called it the SEC of like they could basically call Gwinnett football like the SEC of high school football because there's so many like big name teams.
Yeah, so it was a kind of a big school. Yes.
Yeah. Pretty, I mean, like 7A, or we're 7A. I don't know what they were back then. It could have been a smaller school back then, but like now it's one of the bigger schools in Gwinnett or in one of the bigger areas. So,
man,
but
yeah, Rogers. Wow, that's a nice.
What was the Georgia running back? I forget his name, but he was drafted by Denver and was supposed to be like the next big deal, and kind of flamed out. But he was pretty good at the time.
I know.
You know what I'm talking about.
Not Gurley.
It's like more so like what in 2000s or a little early, like 1998.
You're not talking about. I mean, the Hall of Famer Terrell Davis.
No. Y'all keep talking.
That's all right.
Someone said Marino. Yeah.
No, Sean Marino. Sean Marino. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I forgot. I know one Jelani overlooked that has got to be a legend. How about Percy Harvin? How about you talking?
I always think of him, but he was.
He's like they used him they used him out the backfield a little bit.
That dude was unstoppable in college. Trust me.
Forgot about NFL. They used him more so as a receiver. I forgot. Yeah,
you didn't catch Percy Harvin.
Yeah,
he was a modern. He's the one that started kind of changing the conversation about a running back as far as like the size, and it was more. That was when the game switched over from power to speed. Like they were still contemplating like that.
Yeah, that's what I said. They used them out the backfield.
But that's when everything started switching to the RPO. That was the Urban Meyer, kind of.
That was a wonderful year for Florida football offense.
I don't know. They still talk about it.
Gotta still talk about it.
Okay, so what's the thing is, it was a great year for high state football right up until the end. We got a special guest.
Who is it?
Who can it be?
Look at this, hey, Chris LeBron.
What's going on? I saw you guys were up to the favorite running backs, and I had to just chime in.
Had to jump in.
Go ahead, man. Great.
Look at a list of the Miami Hurricane greats.
Wait, how did you know it was going to be Miami guys?
I don't know.
Just had a hunch.
I don't know. What color hat are you wearing right now?
Wait. I'm wearing an Orlando hat.
Oh, okay. I saw the green.
Hey, wait a minute. Real quick. Let's guess who Chris is going to say. I'll say Edgerrin James.
I was going to say Edgerrin James.
Yeah, I think it was all, everyone's around the clock on that one.
Oh, man. Nobody put Portis.
He's in my five.
Give me your five.
So my number one, because this was my guy, Clinton Portis.
Yeah. I should have said Portis.
Clinton Portis was nasty.
He was one of the first guys that I was like, okay, like, all right, this is why.
Great personality, by the way.
Yeah.
Because why I became a Miami fan, because the running backs were just like they just had like Najee Davenport was like the fourth thing, or like a fullback like type, like. Frank Gore, another one. My two is, I would say Willis McGahee's there too.
Oh, McGahee,
that's
so nice, dude.
Like I was so devastated when he blew out his knee in that unfortunate loss in the BCS National Championship.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I tried. That was heartbreaking, but I was so happy that he was able to bounce back and
have a great
and have a pretty productive NFL.
McGahee was super nice, dude. That you never hear anybody talk about him hardly ever either.
And he had the best agent of all time to get him drafted that high, and it paid off. He was right. Was it Rosenhaus? Wasn't it?
Yeah, Drew I mean, just to think how many running backs we've seen like Marcus Lattimore. We saw him blow out his knee.
Worst injury ever.
He got drafted, but he wasn't that guy. Like he never really, got to do anything in the pros, right? But McGahee was able to, still be a first round pick, still have, like I said, a productive career, with the Buffalo,
man,
that was right.
Baltimore, yeah.
He had a career. So like Willis and Clinton, my guy, obviously Edgerrin James, was another favorite.
When he was in Indianapolis, like that was, I actually got to go see him live. I think it was his rookie or his second year when they kind of just put the big three together over there in Indianapolis. And it was a great game because Miami beat him in like right at the end of the game and all that. But to watch those guys, like you could tell
right that in there real quick.
I was like, oh, Indianapolis is about to be really, really good. And they were for
Oh yeah. He was an important piece, and I think he's going to the Hall of Fame. So
awesome.
Yeah, I believe he's going to the Hall of Fame, or he's a finalist. But much deserving because he had a hell of a career.
Great career.
And but other some non-Miami guys, obviously Reggie Bush, like
you grew up in our era, you gotta throw in.
Was like, that's the human joystick right there. I mean, he might be the most electric running back I've ever seen play college football. Like, he was amazing. I mean, Darren McFadden too was another guy. Like, I was like, when Darren came out, I was like, he might be the greatest running back ever because he literally was. He was the most maybe the most gifted running back.
It was insane what he did
in college, like because he was a big dude. Like he was big. Like Reggie Bush was like small, so you could see why he might not work out as a every down running back in the pros. But Darren McFadden, you're like, oh no, he's gonna be that dude. Like he was special. Like he was a big dude. Oh, he's like 6'1", 6'2". He was built like a tank. He could run a 4.3. He was just making people miss.
Well, we talked about his stats earlier, Chris. They brought it up. His Steven, what was McFadden's overall passer rating?
His passer efficiency rating was like 234. He had seven touchdowns to 1 interception.
It was ridiculous. Like he was just ridiculous. But yeah, those are some guys that I just love. I mean, I could probably I'm trying to think of more, but
it's endless, man.
But my Miami guys, I'm always going to be because of my guys.
Yeah, they put out an NFL player every other year. Like,
that's when it was running back you for a little bit there.
Back in the 80s. Back in the 80s, it was the same way, man. They always running back.
Yeah.
They were linebacker you for a short little bit too.
Man,
everything you.
They still are. We talked. Hey, what do you think about today's game? Since we got you on, what do you think about the Miami game today?
Miami Pitt. I mean, the quarterback for Pitt is out.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's out. I think he. I just read like right before I pulled up to my house that he's out. Ooh. So that's, to me, it could be feasting season on for Miami. I think this is a game, like I said, obviously tough loss last week against Clemson, but this is a good bounce back game, and get the pass rush going a little bit. Probably inexperienced. I don't know who the backup quarterback is for Pitt, but probably doesn't have the experience that that
could get out of hand.
Yeah, so definitely hopefully Quincy Roche and Jalen Phillips get going and we get back on track and we get the win. I think Miami bounces it back big this week for sure.
So quick question. I got all three of you guys here. We're talking about running backs, and is Travis Etienne, is he one of these backs in 10 years? Are we going to be talking I think
sure.
we talked about on the show the other night. Chris was on there too. You guys were both on there. Yeah. Johnny was commenting. But how good is Etienne? Like, this guy, is he the most underrated great player of all time? Like
I don't
that good. Yeah,
it's hard to talk about it now because he's still doing it. You know what I mean?
It's so weird, but you got to reckon. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
he's good now.
The SEC has so many great running backs, so many great, and I'm sorry.
He's ACC.
I'm sorry. Yep, you're right. I was thinking. I'm so sorry. SEC bias, but the ACC too, though. We just got done talking about Miami, right? Like, there's been a lot of good ACC running backs. He's going to be in there as far as the great ACC running backs of all time coming out of Clemson.
Oh, okay. I mean, you saw him last week. He looked like a man amongst boys.
Well, he should be in the pros.
He looked like he should belong in the pros, which he
probably
should be.
He's a starting running back in the pros right now.
He would be a starting running back right now. He would have been. I know there was a loaded running back class, so maybe his thought process was like, okay, I could probably still be a second round pick, but why not wait on one other year? And
he's a top 10 pick now.
Top 10 pick.
He's a top 10 pick right now.
Yeah, he should be, because the first running back taken off the board off the draft this past year was the last pick by the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. And he's had his struggles this year. He's had struggles this year. I mean, they got Le'Veon Bell for a reason, right?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
You know.
That'll be interesting. So, and I'll tell you, so like another guy that I'm lucky enough to be an old guy to watch. I actually got to watch Bo Jackson play football.
Oh, Bo knows.
And now his style doesn't translate at all nowadays, but the pure power and speed was I can't even describe what it looked like when he played against other teams. Like there's nobody like that. Like imagine Derrick Henry.
Sideline to sideline.
Yeah, too. Imagine Derrick Henry, but he looked as fast as Tyreek Hill.
All right, guys, I gotta go. But
thanks for stopping by, Fred.
Kill it.
It's good to see you, man.
I'll talk to you guys
later, Press.
Later.
But that was awesome. The Bo Jackson was just it exploded off the field, but it was all just. I mean, he had moves, but it was such a straight line, power, and a shiver and go. It was just incredible. But by far, Barry Sanders is the most fun.
Yeah.
But it's endless. I mean, you can go back to the power guys. You can got obviously like not all of our schools. I mean, Arkansas has quite as many, but I mean, you guys still have a nice, because you guys
thank you, but I know what we are. I know what we are. I'm secure in my fanhood.
Hey, why wouldn't you be? I mean,
we have had some really good players in Arkansas. So yeah, there are worse programs that you could be rooting for.
Yeah.
Yes, like Notre Dame or Michigan.
Yeah. Yes.
Penn State. Oh, you know what? Speaking of Penn State, Saquon Barkley, one of the best college football players that I ever saw. Like I saw him live twice, and I think it was his freshman year was a night game, and we handled him all right, but I actually sat, like, for whatever reason my tickets were like the only Penn State section. There's actually, I'll tell you a quick story. There's a hilarious picture. Shelley Meyer, Urban Meyer's wife, was there, and she took a picture from the press box, and it was like a panoramic picture of the stadium at night. It was a blackout game, and you could see this little section over here, and it was all white. It was Penn State, and we sat in the front row of that, and in that picture you can see there's just two all black dots in the middle of the and that was us. We sat with the Penn State fans. But I'll be honest, they were all cool. And every one of them, like, as soon as we got to the game, we're like, we're just here to watch. We know what's going to happen. Of course, you guys know as a fan, you're never that secure in a game. I'm like,
right.
No, that's what happened. But watch Saquon that night.
You can't do that at a Florida-Georgia game.
I can't wait to go to that game. I cannot wait to go to that game. We were actually going to go this year and that game on vacation. And then
people get stabbed at that game. I'm just saying, every year.
Yeah.
I can't wait to the world's largest cocktail party. I can't wait. Yeah. That was just a funny story. I was like, hey, I can see us in that picture. Like, but Saquon, man, just jumped off the field. What a great college football player.
So many great college running backs, man. Like, and we're snubbing right now.
Well, it's changed so much because as we watch it now, you get to see all the highlights. So a guy can play for any team and get pub. When I was growing up, it was like whatever Bo Jackson did that night. So their legend, that's why their legend grew so much, because they're not going to show us like, whoever, I don't even know what the draft class was. They're not going to show us like, a guy that played for a 3-10 team out in the Southwest Conference, even though he might be the best running back in the country. So we didn't get to see that. So that's how Herschel Walker became such a legend. You know what I mean? It was like great team, great player. Bo Jackson was the same way. Now, Barry Sanders is one, like Oklahoma State was not, they didn't have that boom pick money back then. So he was the one that, like, you just kept hearing the name, just like Marshall Faulk. You're like, who is this guy? So halfway through the season, you're like, what? He's halfway through the season. He's got 1,000 yards and 20 touchdowns or whatever ridiculous stats it was. And then people start paying attention. But you had to read Sports Illustrated every Tuesday to find out about these guys. It was just a different time, but that's why I like it so much better now. Like, you can't miss anything on YouTube. Like, if you hear a guy's name, like, you got all the stats that you can find. So
there's people on there from like Northwest, Polytech, Texas Christian, community college that are people are like, look at what this dude did this his last game.
Yep.
I mean,
I tell you, you guys brought it up earlier. LaDainian Tomlinson came out of nowhere. Like there was nobody watched him play football, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, like this is the best NFL player we've seen in
one of you can make the case that he is in NFL running back royalty, like he's
up there
on the short list,
the very short list. You know what? Let's do a list of that. Let's do a whole show of that sometime because I don't want to spit a list out there but I like that idea because he is on a very, very short list. So that'll be on our list. So. Oh man, so Jelani, real quick, what do you think of Florida this year? Why I got you on here?
Of course. I mean, I knew it would be a pretty big year for us. Unfortunately, like you said, it's just the way the year has gone with football in general, NFL and college football wise. It hasn't, been normal. Like
highest scoring any year in college football history.
Yeah,
average per team scoring. It's over 30 points a game every team in college football.
And it's a stat that, like I said, we're not used to just because we're not used to this type of off season. I'm pretty sure that they had or off season that they had. So
exactly.
With Florida, like I said, I knew we were primed for a big year. We did get a lot of big recruits coming in. I forgot where we fared in the draft or not draft, but the recruiting class this year. But I know it was top 5 somewhere. It was definitely I think top 5. But last year, just going back last year, I loved when the switch to or was it last year? It was last year, the year before. Yeah, the switch to Kyle Trask. When
they'll start talking smack about Steven's quarterback now.
Oh,
he had a good game last week.
He's had some solid games. He's looking good.
Yeah, I was say that's all I was about to say. He has had some solid games here, so I'm glad that he went somewhere to in a system where he can be productive.
Thank you for saying
that's what it was all about.
Like not fit at Florida.
He just didn't fit at all. So like I was praying each and every week. I was like, all right, there's got whoever's backing him up. I had seen Emory Jones a little bit, but I was like, whoever's backing him up has to be a little bit better. So when Kyle Trask got put in, I hadn't seen him throw a pass yet, but I was like, I know he's going to be our guy.
He had barely thrown him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like in some shape or form, I knew he was going to be our guy. And like I said, just fast forward this year, just having a year under his belt. They still kind of do like the 2 quarterback thing, but obviously Kyle Trask has the reins.
He's a solid starter.
What's his name? Tony. Had a lot of injuries early on, but he's definitely coming on this year. The receiver. We already had Kyle Pitts, of course.
Let's talk about him.
That's the right spot on the team. Like white hot player on that team, dude.
Yeah, so he brings like I said, he just brings the offense together. The last few years, we've had pretty good running backs as well. I forgot who's the star running back this year, but I know he backed up Perrine last year. So overall, like our offense is in good shape and good form. We got Burton also on the outside, I believe. Defensive wise, like I said, just last week, that's just something I'm not used to. It's crazy. Typically, Florida is predicated on defense.
Yeah, especially secondary.
Yeah, especially secondary, which failed. But this year, at secondary, I knew it was gonna be a little shaky. I see it kind of as like my Falcons secondary. Like each week, it was gonna take them growing and learning for them to be a better and cohesive unit towards the end of the year. Because they are pretty young and losing CJ Henderson
you don't have those first 4 games of the year either to get ready for. I mean that's
exactly.
Tune-ups.
You're throwing them into the fire into the SEC.
No spring is huge for these teams too. I keep that. College football spring is so important, and when you don't have that time to start sifting out guys and get it, you don't know who to concentrate on. So what if you concentrate on the wrong guy in Zoom meetings all summer, and your starters actually, then as a freshman that you don't even know of, and so a lot of teams are out of sorts that way.
Yep. So I mean, personally, I see us, obviously finishing top 10 somewhere. Obviously, we're gonna need a little bit of help now because we lost to Texas A&M, and hopefully Texas A&M continues to win, so that loss doesn't look so bad on the resume.
That will help. Yeah. If they take a loss today, you guys are in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. So
with the Big Ten coming back, because what's going to happen is Big Ten, Pac-12 is going to come back, and one of these teams is going to have a favorable schedule. Mm-hmm. They're gonna because of everything that's going on, they're only going to wind up playing like 7 games, and they're going to be pushing one of these teams, with the SEC or somebody for a spot. We all know if Ohio State goes undefeated, Penn State,
they'll be there.
Either one of those teams are in. Like even one loss is going to be an argument, so you don't want to take a bad loss.
Yeah.
But personally, I give credit like to the teams that have already started playing because I don't care what you say, like. Ohio State's been practicing. Their practice squad is better than most teams are going to play this year. So they've been practicing against great players for 5 weeks while everybody else is learning on the fly. That's a huge advantage. I think the Big Ten's got a huge advantage just by timing. But now they got to play late in the season, which could count against them. But Jelani, you know what I mean? Practice helps, man.
I don't even really think about that. Yeah, of course they're practicing, right?
They've been practicing. They never stopped practicing.
Exactly.
They never had to. They were allowed to practice the whole time. They never had to go home or anything. So that's 5 weeks to prepare. That's a huge difference in college football when you're talking about young people. So
especially when you got weekly game film pumping in too.
Yes, and you're right. So it's going to be weird. I don't think it's quite fair, but this year
is what it is.
2020 is not fair.
Yeah, you can't even use that word anymore. Fair isn't even in the English language right now.
So who do you guys? I guess I don't know if you're taking up your time, but who do you guys think are the 4 teams that get in?
Okay, so I got Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson. Clemson, by the way. And see, I originally had Florida because Florida and Alabama don't play.
And that's the big thing.
I'll stick with Florida now, but only because, I don't think one loss is going to keep them out, but I'm obviously more shaky than I was before. I don't think the Pac-12 has anybody come out of it. And I don't think the Big Ten has anybody else but Ohio State, just because I guess
people are high on USC this year. People are pretty high on.
No,
USC.
I was too. I just they tend to take bad losses, and they will. Yeah. If you lose a game in the Pac-12, you get no credit, and they're going to play a short season. I think they're only scheduled to play 8 games, if I'm correct. I don't think they can even. So you can't lose a game, and I just can't see.
You can't.
But no, I can see USC being right there. But when I made my original rankings, I counted the Big Ten and Pac-12 out. So after this next week, I'm going to come up with a new, top 10 and then work my way from there. But I still have Florida. I still have Florida in. I think it was a fluke, but I
could see Georgia being the 4th team, especially, if they take this win today.
Oh yeah. But this is the game.
If they go 1-1 against each other on the regular season, then I think that you're basically going to have that same, you're going to have 2 SEC teams in there, Florida, Georgia, or I'm sorry, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and then Clemson would be my 4.
Yeah, whoever wins the game tonight, I definitely got them going. Once again, I think Alabama's going to win. So, and then Clemson, I don't even think is. I would put them in if they lost 4 games, just because they're that good. I mean, honestly, I would. They're so good. They deserve they're
if anyone can find a benefit of the doubt for any team, it's got to be that team, because they're going to do it for Alabama. If they lose today, they're going to find a way to excuse Alabama into the conversation. So,
but I'd like to see it be Georgia. I got a bad taste in my mouth from that last the Georgia Alabama national championship game. That one. Tua is my quarterback now, so I'm conflicted. But man, I wanted Georgia to win that game. That one still eats at me. Great game, one of the best games I've ever watched. But
it would have been good for the state. But yeah, that was a heartbreaking year in general. Well, heartbreaking few months in general for Georgia, the state in general, because they lost that game.
Oh yes.
Our Falcons blew
the and that was a high when they both stunk. I was not happy with either one. So
and the Hawks weren't good all year.
Yeah. It was pretty tough year in general for Georgia fans. But it was looking up. We might get a World Series.
Yeah, but
hopefully.
Man, I'm rooting for him. But look at it this way: you got to be good to be disappointed. As a Dolphins fan, I have no idea what it's like to lose a Super Bowl since '84. So, it's hard for me to feel bad,
or make one since '84. But
that's what I'm saying. I get it. I get it, sort of. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for being on today. The show went great. I love talking college football. I'm going to try and keep doing this as much as I can. I know we got some trips coming up, but in general, I'll be here. So, you guys are welcome anytime. Obviously.
Appreciate you having us on, man.
Steven, tell them about your podcast, where they can find you. Real quick. You're doing some good stuff, you and Austin.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we're doing the Austin and our part of the Breaking the Game podcast. This is the NBA pod. We're fortunate enough to have Jeff come on this Sunday, so come check that out. We're doing our way too early NBA power
And I know nothing about the NBA, so it's gonna be awesome.
Well, you let me come on your college football and NFL shows, and I don't know anything about football, right? So, I mean, I figure I'd return the favor. But yeah, so come check us out Sunday. We'll be going live, and the episode will be dropping. Wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow me on Twitter at StephenBTG. It's right here on the little graphic that my boy Jeff made. So,
and Steven's doing some great articles on offtheballnetwork.com. His glue guy's my favorite. Your draft previews, your prospects are really good. You're doing some good work on there, so we appreciate that. So go check out everything that he's doing on there. Also, we appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
And Jelani, what you got going on, man? I know your show's changed a little bit in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Thinking, Jelani Brown, of course, from What the Game Means to Me podcast. You can follow me, like Steven said, right there, WTG MTM podcast. So just been doing a few different little shows here and there during the day, just because that's most of the time that I have. But possibly, I don't know if it's going to be on this show or if we're going to kind of create our own. But I've been doing a few episodes with my former teammate and quarterback Thad Bell. Definitely more likely bring him on as my co-host, or we're gonna be hosting together. So like I said, it could be under the same name and brand, or we might make up our own. I'll come up with something sooner or later.
You guys are good, man. Things are going good.
He's definitely a knowledgeable guy. Played college football. Loves
I need to go.
Yeah, definitely should need to bring him on. Hopefully. I don't know if he's asleep or not, but next week if you got this going,
we'll figure it out.
Make him come on for sure. But
I'm always on there. He can come on anytime.
Exactly. So yeah, that's kind of just things. Maybe rebrand it, maybe not. Bring him on, but definitely would like to introduce him to you guys for sure. Other than that, I possibly thinking about having and would love to have you two on for sure. Because I know you guys have a bunch like a little sports memorabilia show. I went to my parents' house because they're moving soon, and they gave me a bunch of my old stuff. So I actually got a lot of interesting things. It's actually right behind me. I won't show it yet though.
I wasn't as good at sports as you though, so
yeah. But it could really be anything, like anything you might have got signed or whatever.
Sophomore on JV, but I'm just saying.
Hey, I wasn't that great as well. I got a lot of Pee Wee type stuff, trophies over here, and then I actually found a few pictures that coach isn't on here, but it'll be interesting. I'll probably show it, but pictures with me. I told him I played with Montez Sweat, their defensive end. So I don't know if he appreciate me showing it, but I have a lot of pictures. We played football together for like 5 years, so you can see the progression. Right? How old he looks and gets, so it would definitely be interesting. But like I said, definitely would love to have you guys on for sure. I'm probably thinking about next week doing a sports memorabilia show.
Sweet, man. Yeah, anytime. Yeah, now you guys are both killing it. Jeff Needs Sports podcast, Off the Ball Network, putting stuff up there. Check out my weekly NFL rankings, power rankings.
They're great, dude.
I'm liking it. I'm loving it. It's fun. And I got some big things. So the High State Buckeyes start next week. So I'm going to start a weekly Buckeye recap show. I'm trying to do it every Sunday morning and get that out there and talk a little bit more about the Buckeyes. I do my scouting report every week about the week coming up. And then, you can usually find me like tomorrow. I'll be on Steven's show. I'm happy to do it. So, we're as a network, we're all working together and, putting out some great content. So, look for me there. You can find me on Twitter. Everybody knows. I'm always somewhere. I don't go very long.
You're busy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all good fun, but I appreciate both these guys for coming on. Have a great college football Saturday, and it's almost time. Next week, I've got an actual game day, so I'm pretty excited about that. So be kind to everybody. Wear your mask. Don't be racist. I don't want to miss anything.
Wash your hands, brush your teeth.
Vote. Yes, vote. Yeah, we're getting up on that vote. Yeah. Take care of your teeth and your feet. You know what I mean? Take care of your teeth and your feet. Yeah, simple stuff. We're not asking a lot. And all right, everybody, have a great Saturday. Have a great weekend, and we will see you soon.